In Houston, and she has our lead story. Lana, good afternoon.
Hello. As you can see, the rains continue to fall here in Houston. In fact, just in Harris County, we now have an updated total 1 trillion gallons of water. To put that all into perspective, that's enough to fuel Niagara Falls for 15 days.
Historic flooding has brought southeast Texas to a standstill. President Donald Trump and the First Lady have touched down in Corpus Christi, where they will see firsthand the devastation Harvey left behind.
This was of epic proportion. Nobody's ever seen anything like this.
Just northeast in Houston, rescuers are working around the clock to save residents fighting to stay above water, floating on air mattresses, piling into canoes and lifted out of harm's way in rescue baskets. Life and death moments playing out over hundreds of square miles.
It was just a blessing to be rescued.
They've saved more than 6,000 so far, but thousands more are still waiting to be rescued, and the flooding is only getting worse.
I didn't even imagine that it was going to be this catastrophic like this. This is horrible. I had my 2-year-old, he told me he was scared.
Local dams are on the cusp of overflowing, officials releasing water from 2 reservoirs to avoid catastrophic structure damage, but that water threatening homes downstream. And all of that water surging into already flood-ravaged towns and cities in South Texas. We saw firsthand how evacuated residents are filling shelters beyond capacity. The emergency shelter at the convention center in downtown Houston was meant to house 5,000 people. It's now well beyond its capacity at nearly 9,000 and growing.
We're not going to turn people away.
And hospitals across Houston are facing power outages and rapidly dwindling supplies. They're now racing to evacuate patients.
If you start to run out of supplies and you can't feed people, that's a big problem.
And there's now an emerging health concern. That is the problems with water here in the Houston area. The EPA is going to start testing those waters to see if the contaminants like chemicals or sewage have now polluted those supplies. Reporting live from Houston, Lana Zach, ABC News. Back to you.
Lana, thank you very much. Among the other aid organizations, Red Cross taking donations to send to those most in need in the Texas flood zone. Ryan Hughes visited the Emergency Operations Center in Fairfax to see how things are going there.
The American Red Cross has been working around the clock. It is a 24-hour operation here, and this map gives you a good idea just about how many shelters have been set up as Texas continues to deal with the unprecedented flooding. A team from our area has been on the ground for a week now, and more volunteers are on the way. Tomorrow morning, 2 more emergency response vehicles will be deployed, and 4 trained volunteers will make the drive down south, joining 31 others already in place. It's been all hands on deck inside the Disaster Operations Center, fielding calls and coordinating relief efforts. But this is a huge undertaking and a very long recovery effort. The National Capital Region is in need of blood donations. There was a blood shortage before Harvey hit. And most importantly, it needs financial donations to help offset the cost of sheltering so many people and deploying its vehicles.
Some of our members on the scene are working with the National Guard and others to deploy helicopters to help in moving blood products where they are most needed, and even some workers.
And the Red Cross has made it really easy to donate. You can visit their website, redcross.org. You can also use your cell phone, texting the word Harvey to 90999. We've also listed other ways you can help by visiting our website, WJLA.com. In Fairfax, Ryan Hughes, News Channel 8.
The question many ask is, what can we do to help the folks who are most affected by Harvey? Well, there are any number of organizations. We've got all the information for you listed at our website. It's either news8.net or WJLA.com. And we want to give you a heads up. This afternoon, we are partnering with Wash FM, Hot 99.5, and WMZQ Radio to help with the relief effort. Join ABC 7 for a phone bank benefiting the American Red Cross. They'll be taking calls and they'll be accepting donations between 4:30 and 6:30 this evening today. You can make a $10 donation right now on your phone. Just text Harvey to 90999. And your phone bill will be billed for the $10. Live look outside on kind of a rainy, dreary, breezy afternoon, but We've actually got it pretty good around here, all things being equal, Josh. It's pretty hard for us to kick about this weather when we see what's going on in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana this afternoon.
That's so true, Dave. Some of these totals that we're getting out of there now officially breaking some of the records, and this one here, it's kind of hard to believe that this just broke the record this morning, but at 49.2 inches, Friendswood, that is just to the southeast side of Houston, and you can see some just astronomical rain totals, 40 inches in Pasadena and just over 32 inches there as you get to Alif. So with the rain continuing through the next day and a half or so, we are still going to continue to add on to those numbers. What's going on around here? Just kind of a soggy, breezy, cool day, not our typical end of August weather, but again, really not all that bad by comparison. Just a little bit of a nuisance to deal with for today. So what's going on? We did have a system that was trying to turn into Irma, spinning off the coast, but just never really came together. Didn't really get all those tropical features. Still, winds around 40 miles an hour closer to that storm and throwing in all of this moisture for us to deal with. So let's switch over just radar across the area, and you'll notice things are drying out in the I-81 corridor. We'll be hanging on to this from D.C. and farther east right on through the evening, probably until about 7 or 8 o'clock for the D.C. area. We'll run through Futurecast for you quickly. You can see things break down. We've got less rain going on as we head later into the evening, but still enough that you probably do have a wet drive home later on tonight. And then as we get into Wednesday, a little bit of extra cloud cover to start with, then we get some extra sun. But one thing we'll have to watch out for, especially later in the day, some rain back toward the Shenandoah Valley. Some of that does try and sneak over our way overnight Wednesday, but that would really be about it. So for the rest of the day, really hanging on to that chance for some wet weather. Still breezy and cool, winds around 10 to 15 miles an hour, but at times gusting closer to 25. So just not a very pretty day. The good news here, we're going to be very close to drying out in time for the beginning of the Nats game. 7:05 first pitch. Unfortunately, I do think we'll probably see some delay there thanks to the wet weather that's slowly moving out. We do have some more rain to track from Harvey as we get into our Labor Day weekend. I'll time that out for you, let you know when you're most likely to dry out coming up in just a bit.
Josh, thanks. To Stafford County, where service on the Northeast Regional Amtrak line had to be suspended for a time. Train 84 was involved in a crash. The train apparently hit a truck. It happened at Brent Point and Arkandale Road. There were people on board the train, no serious injuries, about 84 people in all. Amtrak was providing passengers with alternative transportation to try and get them around the delay. No word yet on if they've reestablished service yet. In Prince George's, Livingston Road was closed in both directions near the intersection with Route 210 in Accokeek after a deadly crash there earlier today. A garbage truck collided with an SUV, and then the SUV slammed into a car. It was the SUV driver who died. No word on if the wreck had weather implications. 18 students were expelled from American University after reports of violence and hazing. University spokesman said they were part of an underground group known as Epsilon Iota that formed after a fraternity got kicked off campus in the early 2000s. And then in 2014, there are allegations of drug use and sexual assault involving the organization. Students tell us they were actually warned to steer clear of the group.
During Welcome Week, they talked about it. During our orientation, they talked about it. Just saying, if you go to these parties, you're putting your safety at risk.
No word on if these expulsions completely eliminated the group. Going on right now, special election underway in Fairfax County to settle a number of issues regarding this county's public school system. Among the items being voted on, the renaming, well, the issues here, not the items, the renaming of Jeb Stuart High School, another topic, transgender student rights. 4 candidates are vying for the seat held by Jeanette Huff, who resigned her post to follow her husband to an overseas job. When we come back, we'll get a live look at traffic around the region. And as you might imagine, on wet roads, there are issues. This is 395 at Washington Boulevard. We'll get a big picture look at what's going on all around the area. And it's going to look like this, it sounds like, for the best part of this day. But at least we'll get the rain out of here maybe by tomorrow. They can't say that down in Houston. We're back with more news and your forecast next.
Did you know that the average funeral can cost more than